We are back. It's actually episode 11 of the Packers Roundtable podcast. Anthony, we were just talking about this offline. 11 shows, man. We're kind of like an official podcast now, I think.
I think we have to be. We are that. We should be approached as such. We should be accepted by our fans as such. We are an official show, and this is fun, man. It's hard to believe. I was doing a show earlier today. And it was a college show, and we were talking about week 13 in college football, and I almost threw up because I'm like, where in the hell is this season going? It's rolling right along, but always good to be back here, dude.
Football season's it's so opposite from baseball season, right? Like you get in the dog days of the summer, it's like, oh my gosh, another game, but football season, it just goes like that, it seems like.
Never stops, man, and it's a perfectly well-oiled machine, right? We get through, you get to Monday night, you got Monday Night Football, then you can catch your breath on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's Thursday, it's Friday, it's Saturday, it's Sunday, it's Monday. It's awesome. And now we're in, and from where I'm from, MAC football is important. So Tuesdays and Thursdays in November, that's MACtion. So I got 7 days a week. I don't have friends. I don't have girls talking to me. I have nothing. I got football from 24/7, 365. It's the best, man.
It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life. They should make a remake of that Christmas movie and just have it starring you watching football.
There we go. There we go. I'm in. I'm sold on the script.
3 straight hours of you watching the Browns and Cheater Sanders.
Like, is this all that he's doing? Is this all that he does?
This is his life. This is what he does. Well, what you're doing tonight is talking to me about the Green Bay Packers. So let's get into that. I want to start with topic one. A win is a win, right? And I'm asking that as a question as well as saying that as a statement. So the Packers, and we've covered this, pretty closely the past couple weeks. They were in a slump, lose 2 in a row. 2 in a row. I don't know if you call that a losing streak. 3, you definitely call that a losing streak. And at the very least, they need to get out there. They need to come away with W. Sure was ugly, yes. A lot of factors to consider playing the Giants. Ultimately, it was a 27-20 win over the Giants. Obviously, the Giants just fired Brian Dable. It was windy as heck. They kind of had the opportunity to just go out there, play loose. Jameis Winston leading the way. Mm-hmm. So many factors at play. It wasn't a great game, but ultimately a win is a win, right?
It is. And you in the NFL, it's hard to win football games. Feels like going to New York is tough to win. I'm curious. I was thinking about this today as I was getting my mindset for our show tonight. Do we have to reframe how we look at the Packers? Because I go back to earlier in the year and like, okay, after week 2, it was, hey, they're going to go undefeated. Not you saying that, the players saying that. But maybe this team is just that Jekyll and Hyde where one week it's not good, the other week it's good, and it goes back and forth. And, you just can't take these wins for granted because they've shown that they can lose this game. They've also shown that they can win it. So, I don't know. I wanted to ask you, I want to get your opinion on that. Hey, should we reframe our thought to not consider the Packers as an elite NFC team and more so one tier down where they got to scratch and claw every week. They can beat the best team, but they can also lose to the worst team. I don't know. Right. I don't know the right way to ask the question, but I wanted to flesh it out with you here.
Yeah, let's flesh it out. So there's an old saying and I think ironically this makes sense in recovery circles, one day at a time, right? And right now, I think we're all in a little bit of Packers recovery, at least us fans, trying to get better day by day, right? And that's all you can do, I think, with this team is take it week by week. And, Anthony, in my opinion, that's kind of the NFL, though, right? Yeah. Occasionally you get a team that's just, remember the Patriots when they went crazy that one year. And even the Packers that one year, they only had 1 loss, where it's just, okay, you expect them to win, but especially this season in the NFL, there's not a consensus runaway team out there. I couldn't tell you who's going to be in the Super Bowl right now. And sometimes there's years when that's the case. But I think at least with a young team, there's a lot of moving pieces with this team. There's people injured. Tucker Kraft's gone. Josh Jacobs is hurt. you can look at all these different factors and just say, listen, we got to take this week by week and take it game by game. And I know that's how they look at it. I think we need to look at it the same way.
Yeah, it's sometimes expectations can be such a burden, and we as fans get into them too. Like, all right, they should roll the Giants. Well, you almost found out what it's like playing against Jameis Winston, where he's with no consequences, where he can just get out and just sling it. And the Giants are dangerous enough to win a football game like that, and that's one where you just gotta get in there, do enough to win the football game, and get out of there. And so I think you're right, though. Like, I think that, as we go forward, you just take it one day at a time, one game at a time. And I think that the highs are going to be high, but the lows, I think, could be potentially low.
Oh, and we've talked about this before. The average fan, I don't think appreciates how hard it is to go on the road. And win a game in the NFL. And you throw in the fact that they're playing for their new interim head coach. You expect them to kind of be up for the game. And I also don't know if the average fan anymore understands kind of the dynamic that Jameis Winston brings to a team. Just kind of that fun-loving, just loose, going out there and throwing the ball. And he threw the rock, man. He had a pretty good game. Yeah. So the fact this is just one of those games. I think you say a win's a win. We survived it. We stopped the losing streak. And now you just move on. And Jordan Love said something interesting, and we're going to kind of transition into topic number 2 while talking about topic number 1 as well. Topic number 2, drop it like it's hot. The Packers had 7 drops, man, on offense. 7 drops. Infuriating. And we're not even talking about the fact that the defense dropped a couple too that were just right into their midst. Mm-hmm. What Love said after the game basically is you flush it. Don't live with it. Don't bring it into the next day. Just flush it. And that goes along again with this recovery theme of you just move on to the next day and you keep living.
Dude, I'll tell you what, like that, a response like that from Jordan Love, not only what he says, but what he did on the field was special because it wasn't going their way. Quarterbacks, the bad ones would get frustrated by that stuff. The good ones and the great ones do what he did and just like willed that team on that final drive or that final touchdown drive, just like dragged them down the field, man. That 3rd and 10 was insane. Some of those throws he was making were just out of control. And it's like, if he would have hung his head and, after a couple drops and gotten pissed at his team and started pointing the finger at the receivers, no one really would have blamed him. But that's not what quarterbacks are supposed to do. Quarterbacks are supposed to do what he did and drag them to victory. He did that and then goes in the postgame and says, yeah, guys, flush it. You know what that does for a receiver who's like for Dobbs is a perfect example. Had a couple bad drops. Man, he's like, hey, my quarterback still believes in me. My quarterback's good with me. I have to be better, but this isn't the end of the world. And because of that, he will be better. Just think that's like a huge growth thing from Jordan Love that I thought was just really mature, impressive, unbelievable. Like all of the good things, I thought that he exhibited all those.
Yep. Let's. I want to just read the actual quote. So talking about the drops, and again, they dropped 7 passes, man. So if you look at his. He completed 13 of 24. Over half of his incompletions were drops, which is just incredible. But here's his quote. So it's obviously frustrating, but it's a team sport, he said of the drops. It takes everybody out there making plays. I'm confident in these guys. And what he kept telling them apparently during the game is just next play, next play, next play. And the last quote that I really like from him is he said, I might throw an interception and I have to have the same mindset. Yeah. Flush it and move on and go on and make the next one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that just as a former quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what you want to hear from your quarterback. He's being a leader here.
No, he's being a total leader and he's doing it from the right place. Like, hey, he even said it right there. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to throw an interception. It's the old adage, like, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Like, sure. If he starts pointing the finger, Andrew, guess what Christian Watson can do? Hey, man, when you throw the next interception, like, well, they can all point it back at him. And that's just not the case. You get into that type of culture, that's a bad way. This is the absolute perfect way for him to have handled this because, hey, he acknowledged he makes mistakes. But guess what? It's a team game. It's a team game when you lose. It's a team game when you make a great catch on 3rd and 10 and push one in the end zone and have a great 2-point conversion because everyone did their job. Like that's a team game. One guy didn't do that. Just as one guy isn't going to get blamed for a drop, one guy isn't going to take all the credit for something really positive. Just really, Andrew, just all love it from a fan perspective, a former player perspective, a former quarterback perspective. Just love everything he did and how he handled it on Sunday.
And that's why you give a guy like that $50 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFL, you need somebody who can go out and make the plays. And I think he's shown that he can go out and make winning football plays at a high level, at least at a playoff level. But you also need somebody who can represent your organization well. You need somebody who can hold your locker room together. And we'll talk about just for another second here. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I feel like this, if we look back on this as a turning point, who knows? They still have to go on and win games, but
yeah.
there is definitely a scenario in which there's drops, everybody gets frustrated, people start yelling at each other on the side. I mean, we've seen that all over the league. It happens. And the very fact that Love was able to kind of be that leader, hold everybody together, you pull out a win in a tough environment, in a tough situation, you move on. This could be the type of game in which you look at and say, okay, they survived, and maybe that you can build on that.
You absolutely can build on it. I think back to the immediate reaction after he threw the touchdown to Christian Watson where the camera pans to him and he's like, yeah, like he's going down the field. He's pumped up. And that's not typical of him. And that was awesome because that was like real raw emotion, right? That was, hey, we just dug ourselves out of a hole that we probably shouldn't have been in, but got out of it. Early in the season, we may lose that game. But now, like we talked about, Andrew, as we're getting through November, we're getting into late November here, and the calendar's going to turn to December, and that's winning time. This could be the turning point that this Packers team experiences, and he knows it too, man. That clip that's going to live with me for a while, and he's like jacked up. Like, heck yeah, man, that's exactly what it's about. And you're right. That could be something we all look back on and say, yep, in New York, that's where things changed. Yeah.
I want to just stick on this point for a little bit longer, talking about the drops. Christian Watson did have one drop, but ultimately he caught 4 passes out of 5 targets, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. I just love to hear your thoughts on that throw in the fourth quarter from Love to Watson. Just kind of put in the hole there, double coverage, and you can't ask for a better throw and a better catch, can you?
Can we go back to the catch he had from Malik Willis?
Oh, that was a tough one too. Yeah.
Dude, like that. Talk about a hands catch, and like that's been his that was his like negative, if you will, like the body catcher. Like that one, he had to go pick, and he picked that thing, and the defender's hands were like in between him and the ball. And he said, "Nope, that thing's mine." And that ball traveled like through a bunch of hands and stuff. Like that catch was amazing. The throw on the final touchdown, though, I thought was awesome. Like you said, that was right in the hole. It was a perfect spot for that ball to be. And he jumped up, made the catch, toe tapped, got his 2 toes in. Oh man, that's as good as it gets. That was good quarterbacking. That was great wide receiver play, and the result of that is the game-winning touchdown. Man, I think that was special.
As a quarterback, are you just throwing it to a spot there, or are you just are you giving him a chance? Just throw it up and give him a chance to come down with it.
That's a good question there. So the way I view that last touchdown was he was open. He was NFL open. Yeah. He had a little bit of space. So that's one where you place right on his body. Like Jordan knew, hey, that spot, he got on the top side of his defender. The safety wasn't going to be able to get over top. He knew there was going to be that little hole shot available. So that's one where you put on his body. Now, there are times where it is 50-50 ball. And I would say like that 3rd and 10, Andrew, that was to help me out with the name.
Savion Williams.
Yeah, that was yes, yeah, to Williams. That's one where that was like, hey, he's got his man, but I've just got to throw this up and let him go make a play. And because the rush was bearing down on him. That one was more of that 50-50 ball. But the touchdown to Watson, I think, was more of, hey, I'm going to put this thing on his body and be super accurate with my throw. I do think that one was more intentional.
Okay, interesting. Talk about being spoiled as a quarterback. Watson is 6'4", 208 pounds. He's got great speed. And you mentioned Savion Williams, who had that big catch on that third down. He's also 6'4", 222 pounds, and pretty good athlete. So you've got two guys where you could just say, you know what, I'm chucking it, and let's see if they can make a play. So,
well, Andrew, we've talked about it. I've talked about it on other shows. You think back to like the elite receivers when they say 50-50 ball, like you don't throw a 50-50 ball to Calvin Johnson. That's an 80-20 ball, right? And some of those guys kind of fluctuate. And if you can get, Watson especially to start gaining some confidence in those scenarios, that can be a huge advantage because he's a big body guy. He's faster than you. He's more athletic than you. And if he can start going up and making those big catches, that's just another level that he can get to.
Interesting. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs a little bit. So all-pro running back, 5'10", 223 pounds. He's a bruiser, the type of guy who just falls forward for a couple yards. But he's still got that. I mean, he's got everything you want. He's got the open speed. He can make people miss. He's pretty good with his hands out of the backfield. So he ended up going down with a knee injury. So he rushed 7 times for 40 yards in that game. Averaged a really healthy 5.7 yards per carry. So he was looking like he was on one. Goes down with a knee injury. Good news. I don't know if you saw this yet since we've hopped on here, but there is Matt LaFleur said that there's a potential that he can actually play next week. So it doesn't sound like this is something that's long term. I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts, and I'll give you mine too. Let me start. So
you start.
Emmanuel Wilson is the backup running back in Green Bay, and he had a really nice game filling in for Jacobs. Finished with 11 carries for 40 yards. I mean, those numbers aren't going to blow you away, but 3.6 yards per carry. So he was moving the football, got a really nice touchdown down in the red zone. In my opinion, at least, and this is just my opinion, I'm not Matt LaFleur, I'm not part of the Packers organization, I would not rush Josh Jacobs back, because if we're talking about playoffs, wanting to make a Super Bowl run, I think you can beat the Minnesota Vikings with Emmanuel Wilson in at quarterback. I'd love to hear what you think there, though.
Yeah, I think that the thought is correct, and I'm just pulling up the playoff standings here because that's obviously going to factor into it. And with the way the North is kind of shaken out, if you're within arm's length of Chicago, which that's wild to say, man.
It is crazy, right?
That's to that later. But if you're at least in arm's length of Chicago, I think the Packers still have them twice. Is that correct? They
play them twice in 3 weeks.
So that's like that's the type of stuff that you circle, and they're like, hey, if it's even a question mark, because like the early reports were, they were talking about ACLs, and they were talking about season ending, and and now, when they're talking about, hey, he might be able to play next week, we don't need to rush it. Like, make sure, it can only get worse. If he comes back and they're like, even just a little bit of a question, I'd approach this with a whole abundance of caution. Definitely, because, like you said, I think the Vikings are beatable with whomever back there. And if he's even just not 100% at all, I wouldn't rush him back.
Yeah. And especially a running back, they use that knee in so many ways just to cut. And Jacobs is known to be a cutter, and what you don't want to do is say we need him back to beat the Vikings because they're an NFC North opponent. You're here. Let's get real about this. And I think we can kind of tie in a lot of conversations we've had throughout the year. If they did not lose to the Cleveland Browns in week 3, if they did not lose to the Panthers, they're looking at more wiggle room to where you can say, okay, we'll give Jacobs a couple of weeks to rest so that he's ready for the playoffs. But they didn't win those games, and they took away their opportunity to not necessarily rest players, because this isn't the NFL, but you lose the ability to be flexible, because really everything from here on out is a must win, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's the nail on the head. This is the point where we were nervous about getting to with, hey, you lose those, like you said, you lose those games, you use your room for error, and now they're there. And so they still have to I would approach this with an abundance of caution. Like, do not rush him back, because if he re-injures that, you're going to be screwed for the weeks to come.
Did you ever have a knee injury or
never? No, never knee injury. I had a really bad shoulder injury, but never a knee. And thank God, never a knee.
Yeah, those are just now, and we did talk about this with Tucker Kraft. They've gotten to a point where like you can get somebody back in 9 months, which is just incredible. But,
insane. And they were even signs to this day. I mean, Rodgers, I don't think it was ever realistic, but he was talking about coming back from an Achilles, within the calendar. I mean, within the season, right? Where it's like, rewind 5 years, rewind 10 years, and that's not even a conversation, right? That's just the way science is at now with that type of stuff.
Well, Rodgers, he was going to throw a little hemp something on it.
He has his own medicine.
Yeah, he definitely has his own medicine and his own research, as he'll tell you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the defense. We spent a lot of time talking offense. There's absolutely a lot to like about the defense. Is this an elite defense? I'm not sure. Is this a top 10 defense? I still think yes. What they're struggling with right now, and what I'd really like to break down, is the ability to stop the run. It was something they were really good at earlier in the season. The Panthers ran all over them. Rico Dowdle ran all over them. Now you look at the Giants. They end up rushing 38 times as a team for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns. Devin Singletary got in the end zone twice. Tyrone Tracy Jr., he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. This is what teams are going to do against this Packers defense, right? They're going to run the ball so that they can neutralize Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary and the what is a pretty darn good pass rush. So how do you – football is a game of adjustments, right? You have to adjust the team's adjustments. So how do the Packers now adjust to this?
Yeah, for me, like Sunday was – I think tackling to me on Sunday was a little bit of a thing, a little bit of an issue. I think back to the screenplay on 3rd and 12 where, Tracy had it, they had him bottled up and they didn't wrap up. A couple guys hit him hard, but he just kind of pinballed around. I know that's not a run play, but it's kind of a run. I mean, it's kind of an extension of the run, but he kind of pinballs around and gets 20 yards. And you saw that a couple times, he had a 17-yard carry. Jameis had a 10-yard carry. Obviously, that was a broken pass play, so you can kind of throw that out. But even Singletary had a 7-yard pop. It's at some level, it can come down to tackling, and it's not even a scheme thing. It's like, hey, get to the ball, bring the ball carrier down. So that would be an area that I would be like, hey, you just do that, and that mitigates. You start there, and that starts to mitigate a lot of those issues, in my opinion.
I want to talk about Micah Parsons as well, since we're talking about defense. We didn't have a ton to talk about with him these past couple of weeks. The Eagles really did a nice job of, or at least Jalen Hurts did a nice job of running away from him, and he did not get home against the Panthers 2 weeks ago. So ended up getting home against the Giants. And I think, before the game I was writing, he's one of the keys to taking a guy like Jameis Winston, who's a free thrower, who's going to just try to chuck it all over the field. And a guy like Parsons can stop a quarterback like that, because you've really got to think about him. So, there's been some chatter out there that he's not, necessarily living up to the hype. He does have, he's closing in on 10 sacks here pretty quickly. What are your thoughts on Parsons from what you've seen these past couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard from a fan perspective to make a big trade like that and then see him settle into playing defensive end. And playing defensive end can be tough, man. They can throw 3-4 guys at you, or 2-3 guys, or running back and a tight end and the tackle, and that can be hard. But he gets a sack on that last play of the game. But they were throwing a Hail Mary. But guess what? He was there, right? He made a big play to make sure that Jameis didn't get the ball off. That's winning type plays. And one of the things with watching an elite defensive end, and that's something that I'm used to doing, I do it every Sunday, is that you can't expect them to make an impact on every single snap. Their impact is going to be loud. It's going to be like a flash in a pan, right? Where it's one play and it's a strip sack, or you're going to look at the stats. And the pass rushers, Andrew, specifically, those are guys who can finish a game with two tackles, and 2 of them are sacks, and maybe that's a successful day at the office. That's a good day. So it's hard to make a trade like that and give up all that capital and be like, you want more out of him every week. But still, like you said, he's closing in on 10 sacks, probably finished with like 12, 13, 14. That's a really, really, really good season from a defensive end.
Yeah. Right now, he's got 12 tackles, 8 sacks, and a forced fumble on the season. And last I checked, he was actually leading the NFL in quarterback pressures, which is, we always talk about the average fan. I'm not trying to demean anybody, but quarterback pressures and quarterback hurries, quarterback hits, those are just as important as sacks because as a quarterback, the second that your rhythm is off, that changes the whole game.
Dude, they not only that, but the impact sometimes of a guy like Parsons can't be measured because guess what the Giants did on day one of game planning? They said, hey, where's number one? Wherever number one is, Jameis, set the protection there. Like, Jameis, find number one. And, like, you got to factor that in too, right? Where it's like, okay, not only are you game planning for him, you're adjusting your offense for him, but he's still getting quarterback pressures and he's in your mind at all times. Like, that is also part of it. So it's like you got to look at the defensive end position as a big picture when you're evaluating the impact that one guy can make.
We talked about baseball a little bit earlier. I feel like, that's your cleanup hitter, your number 4 hitter who's going to go out there and hit those bombs. And sure, every now and then they're going to strike out, but
but these defensive ends could be like 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts and a 3-run bomb, and you win the game, and you win the game 4-1, and you're like, well,
yeah, you'll take that every day and twice on Sunday. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Let's start wrapping up our show here and looking ahead to.
Wait! Before we look ahead, I was trying to fit it in, but I couldn't find a way. From your perspective, what was it like watching Jameis? What is it like watching Jameis on the other side?
Man, he's got a lot of joy playing the game.
Nice.
And that's fun to watch as a fan, even when he's on the other team. And he was quarterback for the Browns, wasn't he, for a while?
Yeah,
so exactly. Yeah, exactly. I will say that I'm disappointed they didn't get a couple more picks because that dude just throws them up sometimes, and that's also some of the fun of watching him too. It's like watching a guy in the backyard just getting after it.
Well, and Andrew, one of the best things about him is like, all right, he hit, who do you hit right in between the numbers? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He'll lob one up to anybody, but he never lets it affect him. Talk about a guy who goes to the next play immediately. It's like, I just threw a pick, fine, whatever, let's go. Like, I remember last year he threw for 530 yards against the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. And he had 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and he was just like, what? It was like this game is so drunk. Like, I was like, what is going on? But like, I couldn't not enjoy it because I was like, well, he's kind of doing it, but then he's like, kind of not. It was wild. But he is that. He's the part you said. He just plays with so much joy, and it's so refreshing to watch him. In a league that's all pros and doing it for money. Like, he's a guy who's like, yeah, I play football anywhere just to play football.
Yeah, you gotta love that, especially as a neutral fan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the Vikings. They're 4-6. They're up next on the schedule for the Packers next Sunday, November 23rd, and it kicks off a big stretch for the Packers of playing NFC North teams. So it's the Vikings next week. It's the Lions on Thanksgiving after that. The Bears twice from there. So the NFL ultimately, you can, and we've talked about this too, you can lose to the Browns in week 3, but you can't lose to your divisional opponents, right? So this is where the real football begins. And the Vikings, you can throw out records when it comes to divisional play, especially in the NFC North. Everybody's tough. Everybody hates everybody, So the fact that they've lost 2 in a row, just lost to the Bears, I don't think this team can take the Vikings lightly, especially considering all the Packers issues.
That's absolutely positively correct. Like the Vikings have flaws, but one thing they do, Andrew, is they fight to the final whistle, right? We're going to talk about JJ McCarthy, I'm sure, but he doesn't stop until there's 3-0. It's 0-0 in the fourth quarter. Like that's when he taps out. And you saw it with the Bears. They played 3.5 quarters of horrible football, and then they won the final half of the fourth quarter enough, so much so that the Bears had to make a 48-yarder to win the football game. You cannot let your foot off the gas against these guys.
Yep. McCarthy, 22 years old. He was the 10th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft out of Michigan. Won a national championship with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Right now, he's got 842 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, this is essentially his rookie season because he missed all of last season with an injury. I'd love to hear, do you think they've got a quarterback in this guy?
Dude, oh my gosh. I was so excited to talk to you about this because out of one fan base who should be besides themselves right now with the quarterback play in the league, it is the Vikings because they have their 2 alum. They got Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold absolutely hooping for their respective teams, and JJ McCarthy is a massive question mark right now. I guess I didn't ask you a question there. I didn't ask you a question.
No, what would you just gave me a statement. I asked you a question. What do you think about this kid?
So I like I like his heart. Like I think he's a fighter and he's like one of those guys who will like get in the trenches. He's still so young in like his football career, and losing last year was not great for him. He's still got so much development going on that he shows flashes of like really good, but it's inconsistent in my opinion. Like it's just not there yet. And it's hard because I don't want to speak out of both sides of my mouth because I'm firmly in the camp of like, you got to give these young guys like more than a year, like we're so quick to be like, oh, he's a bust, get him out of town. But you need to give him time to develop. But also the Vikings were 13-4 last year and they had aspirations going to the Super Bowl. So it's like, this isn't a young quarterback on a bad team. This is a young quarterback on a team that its window is like closing and it's closing fast. Man, they're in a tough spot. I like JJ McCarthy. I just don't know that I like him for the Vikings right now in the situation that team's in.
The one thing that the Vikings do have going for them, if McCarthy is not the guy, they still have a ton of weapons all over. Aaron Jones, the Packers know him well. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, TJ Hawkinson. I mean, their offense should be stacked. And you've got a coach in Kevin O'Connell who's a pretty damn good coach. So, at least in my opinion, the Packers are going to have their hands full. That defense is really going to be tested.
Mm-hmm. It'll be tested, and it'll be tested for 60 minutes, not 55 minutes, not 51 minutes, not 30 minutes. It's going to be tested for 60 minutes, and they cannot at one moment let off the gas pedal because the second you do that, JJ McCarthy will rip your heart out. Just look at week 1 against the Bears. He did it. He almost did it again last week. They stay in the fight for as long as they can. Let's
talk real quick. I'd love to hear your perspective as an AFC North guy. Divisions are tough, man, and the rivalries are intense. What are your thoughts on the NFC North? The Lions, they just lost to the Eagles. The Bears are on top of the division, which is crazy. I think what's his name is a pretty darn good coach, Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, yeah.
I hate to say that.
No, it does suck to say. The NFC North is amazing, in my opinion. It's old school. It's all of like every team you look at, you're like, yeah, that's football town. Chicago, football town. Green Bay, football town. Minnesota, Detroit, right? Like all of them. And all of them are good. Like every team in the NFC North is just good at football right now. It feels like the Bears are a little fool's gold, right? I saw a stat today that was they're 5-0 in games that they've trailed after, with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Like not sustainable, but maybe it is because it's sustainable for them right now. A little bit of that. I think Caleb is just doing enough to win football games. I think the Lions definitely took a step back when Ben Johnson left. I also think that they'll never be out of it with Dan Campbell as their coach. Like, he's going to keep them fighting, and their roster, dude, is so loaded. It's so loaded. So they're super fun. Obviously we cover, I talk about the Packers every week. They're going to be in it, and what do we do? Oh, the Vikings are the in the cellar, if you will. They have the best receiver in football, dude. They have the best receiver in the entire game. And the guys you just listed on their offense is nuts. The NFC North is awesome, man. It's so much fun to watch. It is. I find myself, if I'm not watching a Browns game, if I'm not watching the Browns or hate watching any of my division opponents, I'm watching. My feet are kicked up. I have a big smile on my face from ear to ear, probably a cold beer in my hand, and watching NFC North football, being like, yeah, baby, this is what it's about.
That's football, especially as you get into these November, December months, man. And God, it's just those hits, they hurt. All the fingers are brittle, and that's.
Well, Andrew, you accidentally said this earlier, but you said it's a bitter rivalry or something along the lines of it being rivalries. Like the NFC North is like the last division with real rivalries. I would say both Norths are old school. Hey, this is football rivalries. This isn't the Dolphins and the Bills, or this isn't the Cardinals and the LA Rams. Like, no. This is football. This is snow, it's wind, it's cold, it's these division opponents that hate each other, these cities that hate each other, and it's everything you love about the sport, man. I get fired up just thinking about it.
Yeah, and even in the two stadiums, Ford Field and the one out in Minnesota, even though those are indoor, they're such rowdy places. It feels like you're in just like a hellscape, So it's really cool division to be a fan, and really scary at times too, because you just. Right now, especially, you don't know what's going to happen. I imagine these standings might flip a couple more times throughout the course of our talks here. So,
there's no doubt about it. Are we getting a show in before we're going to get a show in before Thanksgiving?
Yes, we're going to talk about the Vikings, and then we'll
because I have Thanksgiving. I have Thanksgiving plate questions for you, and we'll save that for next week.
We'll do.
I'm very passionate about my Thanksgiving food, so we'll save that for next week.
We'll do a Thanksgiving topic next week. I can promise you that.
Perfect.
Well, everybody, thanks for watching. You know what? We made it easy for you. You can go to PackersRoundtable.com and see everything that you see. Join the community. Talk to us in the community threads, and we're pumping out a lot of good content, I think, and this podcast is a big part of that. So, Anthony, I appreciate you being part of it, man.
Yeah, that may have been a huge exaggerated celebration there, but I'm so sick of saying, check us out at roundtable.io/NFL/Packers/this/that/da-da-da-da-da-da. Get there. It's super easy. Go find Andrew. He's got the best Packers content you'll find. So appreciate it.
All right, guys. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you next week, and we'll talk some turkey versus ham or whatever. Talk to y'all later.